Down here in Florida, we're not part of that mega million thingy, so don't know. But it is a beautiful Friday, March 30th. Had to really hit the extra air conditioning button down here today. It was nice and warm in the car. Of course, it had been out, though, in the sun a little bit. March 30th every year is Pencil Day. And if you're watching Tiger TV, you're going to see a picture of somebody. He was kind of formative in my youth. Growing up on a military base, you could watch 3 movies on Saturday for, I think it was 10 cents or 25 cents or something. And especially in Hawaii, when we went to the one off base, it seemed like Charlie Chan was one of the big ones. So what does Charlie Chan have to do with Pencil Day? Well, it has to do with my father, who always used to quote Charlie Chan, and that is, the longest memory starts with the shortest pencil. And I swear to God, actually, there was a Charlie Chan episode, and he did say it. Apparently, it was really big in my dad growing up. I guess they were playing, and he used to go and watch them on his days, but I actually did see some of those at the local movie theater. Growing up in the 60s in Hawaii, there was one television station. The news was always one day delayed, so you actually got the news quicker in the newspapers than you did on TV. And for the most part, people didn't even bother watching TV because there wasn't anything on it. I think since it was off the continental United States, the TV shows were always like recorded, and they were even more horrible quality than most people actually would have seen it. So it was kind of tough for a lot of those folks. Let me go back to that. It is kind of interesting to watch what we have going on there. But let's get into things on my radar here. Get ready to paint the tape. This is the end of the quarter. It will be the biggest quarter since 1998, or 14 years. There are people making literally ridiculous amounts of money. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. Facebook, they've got a little bit of their IPO update out. We talked about that the other day. When I look at it and look through the hurdles and the normal amount of times it takes to get there, I'm saying that the most likely IPO date is April, I believe it's 26. It should be a Thursday. And that looks like, from what they have to do left, is still in there. If things draw along, it may be the first week of May. But they've changed the prospectus, and it pushes it to just over $102 billion for Facebook's value. And it looks like about 10% of the shares will be available when the IPO comes out, meaning that there's 90% that won't be able to be traded for, at the moment, it shows 180 days. Red Hat came out with their earnings, had a nice big pop yesterday. One of the most interesting thing is a company that literally gives away what they do has now become $1 billion in revenue. So fairly interesting that a company that only charges for service can hit $1 billion in revenue. One of the few dot-commers that actually ever made any money, so you have to probably tip your hat to them. The House rejected the Facebook privacy bill, and I think it has a lot to do right now with probably nothing getting done until after the election, depending if it's in the Senate or the House, because there was a kind of a similar bill in the Senate, and that's the same thing. You know, whoever is on the opposite side right now doesn't do it. But still a huge amount of employers trying to get Facebook login passwords and usernames. That violates Facebook's privacy covenant that they have with all their users. Facebook's actually threatened to sue some companies asking for those passwords, but it is against the terms of service. The whole terms of service thing is a little bit murky, a little tough to find out whether or not that kind of stuff is ever going to fly, but certainly I can imagine that probably after the election, we're probably going to actually see a lot of internet-related laws coming to pass, but probably nothing right at the moment. Moody's is ready to cut financial ratings. Looks like April 17th or 18th. I can't remember the article that I read today. They are going to be cutting, it's just a question of how much. They are going to be cutting financial ratings next month. And it looked like from the article that several were going to get cut up to 3 levels starting mid-next month. That we would see a pullback into those is probably not unexpected. They have been doing fairly well. But just be aware that by middle, probably that time frame, I think they said the 17th. See if that's an available date for next month. Yep, Tuesday, about 3 weeks in. It looks like it's going to be very interesting to see Moody's cut those, and some of them are going to be cut about 3 levels. I think that was more. Well, I'll have to read the article again. Just be wary that probably going to be a broad brush on those, and almost all of them out of the 17 they are considering. You could probably Google it and find out whether they're on the chopping block or not. But there's 17 under review for that date. Sunday, and this is no April Fool's joke, USA will have the highest corporate tax rate. Japan is actually cutting theirs, and we're going to be about 2 or 3% higher than anybody else. And I think probably going to bring the chance of any money being repatriated to about 0. If we're going to actually ever get any money on taxing corporations, we're probably going to have something that makes it worth it. But again, we are now out of, I think the chart I saw showed 56 different major industrial countries. And we're going to be about 2 or 3% higher than Japan. And you can pretty much, if you look at the chart, it's about 1% down the curve all the way down to some as low as 15 or 10%. But it won't be April Fools come Sunday. Movers out there, we've got Finish Line, Novasense. Let's take a quick look and see what we have. LinkedIn was actually a little weaker this morning. It's off 0.25%. Invensense, INVN, down about 12%. What else do we have? Finish Line off about, the Shoemaker off about 15%. FINL. And let's see if I have Spanish Broadcasting. SBSA. See if we have anything for them. 42%. So it must be a buyout on them. And we were looking at Yelp a little bit, the new IPO, and that was actually showing YELP, if I can type correctly. Looks good, about 4.7% right now. Let me get rid of all these here. So we've got a few of these things kind of moving out there. Not a whole lot to think about. We got the S&P up about 5 3/4. Dow's up about 65 points. Nasdaq's just about flat, mostly on the weakness of Apple off $9.25, printing right now at $600. Probably a lot of the articles coming in about the production of their products by Foxconn, and also some of the 4G stuff where they may have to offer a refund for some of the people wanting or buying the latest iPad, and whether or not they actually have 4G speeds or not. Both, I think, some Nordic countries and Australia. I think they already did Australia on Wednesday night, offering a free return if anybody wanted to justify or pacify the powers that be in Australia. Whether or not you can actually get that speed and what the problems are is a little murky at the moment, but apparently they are not as adaptable to foreign GSM systems as a lot of people thought that they should be. Let's see what else we have going on here. We were talking about the odds of winning the Mega Millions. It is at 170 million. Just to give you an idea what odds are running like right now. The New York Mets winning the World Series are paying 100 to 1. Getting hurt with a chainsaw that takes you to the hospital is almost 4,500 to 1. Getting hurt from fireworks every year, you've got about almost 20,000 to 1. If you are dating a model, a supermodel, you have 88,000 to 1. Being struck by lightning, 576,000 to 1. Since I've been struck by lightning twice, I'm wondering exactly how many of those lottery tickets I should buy. And being a lefty, killed using a right-hand product, about 7 million to 1. 170 million to 1 for tonight's Mega Million at 650 million. That sounds so bad, especially when I look at being struck by lightning twice. Both times I got struck because I was using a HughesNet, which is now Direct TV satellite dish. The dish got hit twice and actually went all the way down. I was actually holding on to my mouse, and it went right up into my right arm, which still has some loss of sensitivity. First time it knocked me back and knocked me off my chair and fried my computer. Second time, not so bad, but still not happy about getting hit by lightning, even if it's remotely. And I guess since I didn't get hit, but it actually traveled down some wires, do they still count it? I guess if you died, I always hear about those people that were on the old landline telephones getting struck by lightning coming through the phone, and people in showers standing on the drain that was actually old actual metal iron water pipe getting fried. I'll have to think about that. We were talking about some people making huge amounts of money. Ray Diallo, he's the head of Bridgewater. It looks like the way his fund's going to close today and for the year, he's going to get a check for $3.9 billion for his Pure Alpha Fund. It made the people that were invested in it $13.8 billion.
Here's what people are saying about Tiger TV.
Let's go to John in Tampa. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, Tom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. You having a good day out there?
A wonderful day. I love your Tiger TV. I watch it every day. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, man, I appreciate you out there watching it. How long have you been watching the Tiger TV?
I'm watching almost a month now, and it's wonderful.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it's cool. You see the charts and everything. Thanks so much for the hard work.
Tiger TV, a great news service from TFNN.com. TFNN is proud to bring you the cutting edge of investment newsletters. Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks. Ken is a top-down investor who lets price and volume in the major stock indices tell him when to be in the market and when to be out. By using his unique blend of fundamental and technical analysis, Ken will protect your hard-earned capital while realizing breakout gains. Go to TFNN.com today, click Investment Newsletters, and get Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks free for 2 weeks.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective and maximize your returns. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, co-host of The Money Masters with Tom O'Brien, seen daily at TFNN.com, author of Mastering Probabilities, a daily investment and trading newsletter, and teacher of the money game. Studies show that 3 out of 5 people are afraid for their life in trading these markets, and the number one reason given is fear of loss. Look, Fear stands for false evidence appearing real, and the money game proves it. Lesson number 1, don't risk more than 1% of your trading capital on any trade. Why, you ask? Because 35 trades in a row where you risk 50 cents and make $1 are all you need to double your trading capital versus the 230 losing trades in a row you would need to bring your balance to $100. Let me teach you more about the money game risk-free for 30 days. Go to the homepage of TFNN.com and click on my name, Steve Rhodes, for your 30-day risk-free trial. You were born to be a money master, and I'll teach you how.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by Goldfields. For more information, just click the Goldfields banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
As we come back, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. I get a lot of email from people. I assume that they're watching the show maybe later in the day or over the weekend. I seem to get a lot of email over the weekend. Give me a call, 877-927-6648. We'll discuss what you want to talk about. Even our friend in here, Engineer Al, is typing at me here during the break. He was hit in a restaurant with several other people by lightning. So I don't know. Maybe it's not as rare as you would actually think, but it's interesting. RIM came out with earnings last night. No real surprise that they're having a lot of problems. They were trading down for a little while. Basically, RIM is firing anybody that has a big salary. They're going into a chemical-induced coma. And in the meantime, they're going to find ways. I always like the language when somebody's accused of something. They always say, "We'll vigorously defend this in the court of law." Now, please. I mean, that's like a non-answer. I would rather just have a non-answer. But basically, what they're saying is we're looking at strategic opportunities. And what they should be saying is we're trying to sell our patents. We're going to sell our patents. We're trying to sell our patents. And if they don't sell them, they could go down to literally nothing. My guess is that with the huge amount of money being thrown around between Motorola and the purchase of Motorola by Google, that both Microsoft and Apple and Google all have a ton of money to be throwing around at RIM and their patents. They had one really big patent that they've been able to stick a lot of people to, and that is having multiple processors to actually handle more than one thing on these devices. That actual patent goes back about 10 years. I assume that it would work on multi-core processors just the same. But RIM's been collecting a lot of that patent money, and actually being able to control that patent, especially with multi-core processors in the future, and they have a whole patent portfolio on the other stuff. Since Apple really got into the mud fighting with the patents, in my estimation, they should have stayed out of it. They are probably now causing a bigger problem as they sought to remove. But now they're in it, it has become a blood sport. And if one thing you can say, that Steve Jobs was not always sane about some things. I think that's probably the worst thing that he did, is get into this brouhaha with other people, because absolutely no one's going to win this patent dispute between these titans. They're just going to sit there and pick at each other probably for years to come. We saw that the whole SEO Unix and Apple thing has run, SEO Unix and IBM thing ran, 20 years? Got solved about a year ago. This is really not going to be anything different, but RIM is certainly going to give at least some people a nice fighting chance. And don't even be surprised if you see Samsung pop up with an offer for RIM out here. We've talked a little bit on TFNN. I really haven't brought it up too much about ECNs and what they are. Herb Greenberg had a nice argument out on it, and we're going to get back to that in a little bit. We got plenty of time. We do have Beth in Seattle, and we'll find out what she's talking about today. How are you doing today, Beth?
Just fine, thank you. I'd like an entry point for Microsoft and a target.
Okay, MSFT. Probably the thing that I'm probably sure that the only safe place is probably, I think Tom and I actually called it on our Tech Insider Hour one night on a Friday, where it busted above $27. If you could get it back down there, that would probably be the only safe place to buy it. I think, if you're lucky, it's, you need one more test to the top to give a sell signal here, which you really don't have. And you might even only get a 50% retrace. What do you
mean by test to the top?
There's a high out here on March 16th, $32.95. It could retest that top maybe on lighter volume. You had 65, is that right? 65 million shares there. You want to hang on through the break?
Sure.
Okay. We'll be back in a second here. Microsoft's got a lot of good stuff about it. We'll talk about the fundamental that are driving this stock when we come back with Beth from Seattle in just a moment.
In just December of last year, the price of gold was down over 10%. In today's highly volatile gold market, you need someone in your corner that understands the complex relationships that exist within the price of gold, as well as within a variety of gold equities. Whether it's the South African gold miners and knowing how the Rand-dollar relationship will affect their bottom line, or understanding how John Paulson's $5 billion trade in the GLD can move the market, Tom O'Brien gives you the direction you need to become a better trader each week in his newsletter, The Gold Report. With over 20 individual equities covered and almost another 20 on the potential watch list each week, in addition to covering the XAU, HUI, GLD, and dollar, The Gold Report is a great source for any trader that is looking to be diversified in today's volatile gold market. For your 30-day free trial to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report, log on to TFNN.com today. Don't miss out on this great offer. Act now. You've heard Tom O'Brien on the air, and you've always thought about trying out his newsletter, Market Insights. Well, now is the perfect time. For a limited time only, when you sign up for a 2-week free trial to Market Insights, we'll send you a free copy of Tom O'Brien's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. If you decide to cancel within the 2-week trial period, pay absolutely nothing and keep Tom's book as a free gift from us. Tom sends out his daily newsletter each morning by 9:30 a.m. with trade recommendations, including price targets and price stops. As recently as March 21st, Market Insight subscribers closed out a position for more than a 25% profit in just over 2 weeks. To get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights, along with your free copy of The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Supplies are limited for this one-of-a-kind special, so act today and don't let this opportunity pass you by. Offer only valid for new subscribers.
What type of investor are you? Conservative, moderate, or aggressive? No matter your investor personality, your overall portfolio should reflect your financial goals, time horizon, and your risk tolerance. Help ensure your portfolio is appropriately invested with an asset allocation plan from Morgan Stanley Smith Barney. Simply picking the right stocks is not enough. Research has shown that choosing the right proportion of stocks, bonds, and cash is essential to the success of your long-term investments. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney believes that a carefully selected portfolio can lower volatility and increase investment return potential. Find out about what asset allocation and the Morgan Stanley Smith Barney financial advisor can do for you. Call Angela O'Brien, First Vice President and Certified Financial Planner of the Clearwater, Florida branch at 727-441-6108 today to discuss your personal financial needs. Asset allocation does not assure a profit or protect against loss in declining financial markets. Investments and services are offered through Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC. Member SIPC.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pesavento's new trading newsletter, Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind. In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the forex market, and more. And you'll get the Technical Corner segment, which is a short but powerful weekly training session on trading. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you just the edge you've been looking for. Try Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind absolutely free for 2 weeks. Go to TFNN.com and click on the free trial link at the top of the page. That's an $85 value, yours free when you register right now. Get Larry's Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind and get the edge you've been looking for.
This segment is brought to you by Direction Shares. To learn more about tactical tools for the sophisticated active investor, hit the Direction Shares banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, we were talking with Beth from Seattle about Microsoft. She was looking for an entry point. There's two places that you could possibly get it. The one I like best would be right back at the breakout point, which is about $27.50. My guess, though, is you're probably not going to get that. There's a gap, and that gap was on the 20th of January, where it popped up on heavy volume of 166 million shares. And that day, that gap in there is probably where you want to be buying it. So about $29. You might get $27.50, but you have to wait, see what the volume is when you come back by. But I have a feeling that's going to be at 165 million shares. That's going to be a very, very hard place to break. So the best you might get is $29 out of this, and then your first target would be $32.85.
Okay, so if it tests today at the $32.95, does it have to close above that?
No.
It has less volume?
Oh, to give a sell signal?
Yeah.
Yes. It could continue going up. I'm saying the only valid places that you could buy it, where your risk reward would be correct, would be back down at $29. So, you're hoping it fails here. Or that it breaks out and then it comes back down to $32.95. So you have one of two scenarios. One, it fails up here at the high and then it pulls back and you could buy it $29. The other one is it breaks out and then it comes back down to this $29 or $32.95 high on March 16th with lighter volume. My guess.
And what would be a fail test on that?
That it goes above it on lighter volume and closes back below it. I mean, that would be a traditional short. I don't think that you're going to get many decent short signals on Microsoft over the next year. They've got several things. One, the Xbox 720 is going to be out in October. That's going to give a lot of people a huge amount of upgrades to existing Xbox users. They've got Windows 8, which is going to be a interface common to from smartphones to tablets to their desktop. That's going to be out in October. I mean, literally, they're going to have a lot of new products. Most of them look very good. Especially, I think that even if they don't do as well as they think that they may with Windows 8, I think it is significant, and they're going to do okay. The Windows 360 replacement that they're calling Xbox 720, I think, is got about 5-year newer graphics. I think it's going to be one of the things that kids really want to get. They've got a lot of additional circuitry and hardware and software involved in streaming video with Netflix and some other vendors out there. So I don't know. It just seems to me like the no-brainer Christmas present for this year, for this fall. And even if Apple TV does come out with something, I think that if you had a chance to buy an Xbox or you had a chance to buy an Apple TV, but you had a bunch of games that would run in one, might be the deciding factor out there. And two, you'll be able to use your Kinetic thing that you play games with already. It's hard for me to see that they can do any real bad. I have a copy of Windows 8 already and have had one since October of last year as a developer. And it's very, very nice. They had somebody that was very familiar with the Macintosh interface design it, and I think it really gets to what they were looking for Windows Vista and Windows 7. So it's got kind of a tile interface and everything else. But, I think that they're going to have a great upgrade cycle. It's probably going to last another 9 months after October. So I just can't see that you really going to look for probably more than that $29 unless the wheels fall off the entire economy and China goes to hell in a handbasket and people are roaming. The Night of the Living Dead are roaming the streets with all that kind of stuff. It's just hard for me to see, but I'm thinking that down here at $29 is the only safe place that you could buy this thing unless it does break out. In which case you'll wait for it to come back down to $32.95 and try again there. So
okay, great.
Hope for $29, and then you're going to be in a nice trading range. It's not one of the stocks that I like to play just because it moves so slowly. We'll go through some of those other stocks probably before the end of the day of what I was looking for. It's if you're looking for kind of a nice, safe as you can get stock, probably not too bad. I certainly can't find any chink in their armor over probably the next 18 months or so.
Good deal.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Beth.
Bye-bye.
As we were talking, let me see if I can pop this back up. What is an ECN? We were talking a little bit about that. I wanted to get to it because I know some people had talked about it. We're going to get into some charts before the end of the day. We're going to be watching the last 10 minutes of the day for painting the tape on the end of the quarter because there's so many people going to make so much money that it's hard for me to believe that they won't kind of push this thing by the end of the day. But we'll continue watching it here. Still, S&P's 1409, which is pretty standard here, and got right at $5.99.67 on Apple. But we had a lot of discussion over the last 10 days or so about the ECN for the VIX, and most people don't even know what an ECN is. I got several emails. An ECN is a electronically traded note, and we probably haven't spent a lot of time on it on TFNN. But as a note, it is a debt instrument. So basically what you're buying is something more like a bond than a stock. And most people are not real familiar that it is a debt instrument. And by being a debt instrument gets by the SEC. They just wave by them as they go by, selling their crappy ECNs to anybody that doesn't check them out. It's really basically they're selling an asset like a VIX or an electronically traded note, and trade it like it's an asset, like maybe gas, ETN or ETF, and the backing is really affected by the credit rating of the issuer. In this case, for the TVIX, it was how well UBS was doing. There's almost no SEC oversight on these ECNs, and I think everybody already knows that they can be problematic. But I found something very interesting. Probably going to talk a little bit more about it with Tom on his show tonight. But if you dig into the actual prospectus for the TVIX, there's one paragraph. It was underlined, and it was in boldface. And here it is. The long-term expected value of your ETNs is 0. If the ETN is a long-term investment, it's likely that you will lose all or a substantial portion of your investment. They're already telling you it's a worthless vehicle in the prospectus. Not that many people actually read them. I read them as the IPO comes out, just to find out what they think are the weaknesses. But even the TVIX people told you it was a pile of steaming excrement. So anyway, nothing too new there. The jobs bill did pass. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight also. We talked about it the other day. Let's see. One last thing I want to get to, and then we're going to get to some charts. I've been watching how the arguments in the Supreme Court had been playing out, and I actually caught this yesterday, and it started to make me think. And this is a Indian college student came here. He was in 2010. He was 18 years old. He got shoved in a room with a gentleman who later killed himself. This guy that killed himself, Tyler Clementi, supposedly this Ravi guy, who's an Indian student, was supposed to have taken video of him, purposely gone out and tried to embarrass him about being a homosexual. And it pretty much played out that way for the next 2 years between the media and politicians and activists. And the only problem was it was all a pack of lies. Almost none of that was actually true. It went to court, but New Jersey has kind of a bizarre law about bias and intimidation, and the law actually says if you feel like you're being intimidated, then you are. So literally, I don't have to do anything. It's you, if you feel bad about something. But the reason I'm going to get into this is we've had a lot of news stories lately, and they're not, a lot of times it's a life lesson out here that we can apply to trading the markets. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. But what we found out is literally just about nothing that you've heard about that story was true, and he was still convicted. Because all they had to prove, according to this bizarre New Jersey law, was that the guy that killed himself felt bad. We've had all kinds of drive-by shooting kind of things in the media, which I basically think, if you go back into the 90s, there was a Tawana Brawley incident, which was totally made up. We've had the Duke lacrosse players in 2006 that were totally made up. Even though Apple's kind of getting hit for some of the stuff, Daisy article we talked a little bit about last week, and Foxconn's claims, all made up. All these things ran for months, if not years, before the actual truth came out. There's generally an agenda to almost all the reporting out there. And just this week kind of really brought it up. We've had it again where a gentleman killed somebody. The way that the articles came out was somewhat misleading. You would have thought that the guy that he killed was like 12 years old because they were showing nice, neat pictures of the kid. It's horrible that he got killed, but there's always agenda about the way things are being reported. If you go to the CIA's website, they have a way of looking at news and understanding it. And you can, if you want the link, you can go ahead and email me. But even themselves, they have a strict amount of rules of how they go through news, so-called news, or information, actually vet it. But when they look at their major failures at the CIA, they look at 1941, and everybody believed that Japan would avoid an all-out war because it recognized the U.S. was military superior. In 1950, Korea would avoid an all-out war Oh, actually, I plugged in the wrong one there. In the 50s, China wouldn't come in to the war in Korea. We were wrong on that. In 1962, the Soviet Union would not introduce offensive nuclear weapons into Cuba. Of course, they did. This is all the stuff that the CIA, with all their people and spies out there, we don't even get to spy. All we get to do in the financial community is read articles for the most part. But you make these kind of assumptions. They've worked very hard at the CIA to actually go through and try to find out. But even as lately as 2003, Saddam Hussein failed to cooperate with the UN inspectors, and he was continuing to develop, you had to assume that he was continuing to develop weapons of mass destruction. Only after we attacked their country did we find out that he was making this all up because he was afraid someone else was going to invade him. So he was spreading lots of rumors about him buying everything, mostly to impress the people around him and not us. Unfortunately, we started believing what he was putting out and bought the whole thing, at least the president bought the whole thing hook, line, and sinker, and suddenly we're in a war, and Saddam, thinking we wouldn't, he's basically dead. All these articles, whether they're financial or whether or not, are basic problems with bias and assumptions. And I worked, my first job was pretty much a job with a local county newspaper, and later I went to work for the Kansas City Star, and actually my office was in the same office that Walt Disney had down on Grand Street. Where he found his little mouse supposedly in the drawer, although it's probably apocryphal. It depends on what you actually think, and those biases, it doesn't matter where they're at, whether they're for some political issue or whether or not they have to do with financial reporting. They're everywhere, and just there's something you need to actually be keeping a close eye on. The reason I probably haven't done a lot with stocks today, probably going to be handled on the way out the door here today. And that's, you got to be fairly careful about what you read, what you think. We're going to be talking about a few stocks here as we close out the day.
In the world of financial markets, there's a new player in town with an exciting new way to trade the markets. Nadex now offers binary options as well as bull spreads in a wide range of indices along with commodity and forex markets. With as little as $100, you can gain access to a new way to trade global financial markets while guaranteeing that your risk will always be capped. Nadex allows you to multiply your trading opportunities in ways never imagined before and access markets you once thought were out of reach. With short-term trading opportunities available, including binary options expiring each hour the market is open, Nadex allows you to take advantage of a variety of market conditions regardless of volatility or market direction. Now is the time to take advantage of this exciting new market. Don't let this trading opportunity pass you by. Open your account today by clicking on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Nadex, a better way to trade.
TFNN is proud to bring you the cutting edge of investment newsletters. Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks. Ken is a top-down investor who lets price and volume in the major stock indices tell him when to be in the market and when to be out. By using his unique blend of fundamental and technical analysis, Ken will protect your hard-earned capital while realizing breakout gains. Go to TFNN.com today, click Investment Newsletters, and get Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks free for 2 weeks.
Hi,
folks, turns out my best student became my best teacher. Steve Rhodes absolutely raised my standards, and I'll guarantee he'll raise yours.
Thanks, Tom. What I've learned is that if you want more, you must become more, and that transformation, folks, that occurs the moment you decide to become a master. Now, the quickest way to mastery is through immersion, and for 2 solid days in Denver, Boston, and Tampa, I'll create a new standard of wealth for those few trader investors who have a burning desire to succeed. At my Master Trader course, I'll teach you how to create the ultimate money machine. These are the best kept secrets in the business. Roadblocks, folks. Dabblers give up when they first appear. Stressors last just a little bit longer, but masters expect roadblocks and achieve extraordinary results when they bust right through them. I have all the benefit of knowing the type of wealth creation that I can generate for you. You don't. That's why I'm making this unconditional money-back guarantee. If for any reason you're not satisfied with my Master Trader course, I'll refund every penny. That's right. I take all the risk and you get all the benefit. Go to the homepage at TFNN.com and sign up today.
Put the power of the Chapman Wave methodology to work for you. No matter what market you trade, what time frame you trade in, or your trading style, the Opening Call, Basil Chapman's daily market newsletter, is bursting with the information and trades you need to become a more successful trader.
I've been using Basil Chapman's Chapman Wave methodology for several years now. His Chapman Wave can be used for any time period for not only equities, but futures, currencies, commodities. I've been also a subscriber of his Opening Call, which I find an invaluable tool to help me analyze the potential of the market each day. He gives you opportunities to go short and long. It includes recommendations on stocks. I strongly recommend people using the Chapman Wave, and I very, very strongly support the use of his Opening Call.
To find out more about Basil Chapman and his Chapman Wave methodology, and to get your 2-week free trial of the Opening Call, a $64 value, visit TFNN.com today.
Here's what people are saying about Tiger TV.
Let's go to John in Tampa. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, Tom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. You having a good day out there?
A wonderful day. I love your Tiger TV. I watch it every day. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, man, I appreciate you out there watching it. How long have you been watching the Tiger TV?
I'm watching almost a month now, and it's wonderful.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's cool. You see the charts and everything. Thanks so much for the hard work.
Tiger TV, a great news service from TFNN.com. Catch Tom O'Brien, founder and CEO of TFNN, professional trader and educator. Also a special guest on CNBC, analyzing the commodity markets. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
Short minutes. We also have me coming on in about an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to be talking technology. We're going to be talking a little bit about the jobs bill. We're going to be talking about accelerators, bringing a lot more IPOs. Boy, what do we have? 12 IPOs this week. We're going to be talking about some other stuff, flexible displays, and how they're going to replace those cracked smartphones you have, and just how easy it is to actually crack a smartphone out there, and probably some other things. In the meantime, I wanted to go through a couple of charts that I found fairly interesting. I think that we're starting to see some kind of commodity low, and we talked about gold last week having a nice little bounce. That certainly developed. We also have the DB Agriculture Fund, DBA, gave a nice little signal yesterday. Looks like it's confirming that we probably have a fairly decent bottom. The December 16th low out here, $27, what is that, 57 cents, 2.4 million shares. Got into that yesterday, closed below it, popped right back up above it today. But, of course, we tested 2.4 million shares on 1.3. And normally I look at ETNs, or ECNs, excuse me, like this is a good signal, especially on volumes. If it's 25% light, I look at that as the same as being 50% light on a regular stock. So that this could come in, what about 40% light? Kind of the equivalent of a stock coming in about 70% light. Not really any surprise that we've got agriculture stocks out here bouncing off this little bottom, and we'll have to see how that develops next week. But it looks like we are set up for maybe one more retest in that 27.57 area, and maybe it's time to start looking at agriculture again. We've got some other stocks out here that were fairly interesting. IDCC is interdigital. This thing looks like it may be awful close to making a test, which it hasn't. There's a long-term low from last year's July low, $34.61. Looks like it's going to be coming in here next week, so you might want to keep this one on your radar. It had a huge move, and this is exactly the kind of pattern you look for. We may have one or more two bounces out of this thing before it's really ready to go, but it's nice to have this thing come back and test this low where everything, or the last big low before it took off last year. But IDCC, if it would have a nice, we're starting to have kind of a nice day today, maybe 400,000 shares on this thing. If we could go sideways for that for a while, show some signs of support, you might have a nice tiger by your tail for the long term on InterDigital. Kind of an interesting stock. National Fire and Gas is another one. This one's making a little shorter time frame low out here. And not surprising, it also had a nice little bounce. I'm looking at the March 7th low, $47.32, 3.4 million shares. Came into it with 400,000 shares yesterday. No real surprise. We're bouncing out of that huge reversal day from March 7th here earlier in the month. Getting a little doji out of here. This is kind of a smaller term trade, but if we go back here and look at it a little longer, this is another one that may just have one more low to test out here, $44.51. If we could get into that, that may be something very interesting. Anyway, you can always get my newsletters for a 2-week trial. Maybe you would like to look and see what stock I had that bounced 10% since we bought it yesterday morning. Well, you can certainly do that by going to the front page of TFNN and checking it out. You all have a great day and a safe day.
Great Basin Gold is a mining company engaged in the exploration and development of 2 emerging gold properties in Nevada and South Africa with a total resource base of more than 23 million gold ounces. Great Basin's Burnstone mine in South Africa opened in February of this year with a resource of 20 million gold ounces, becoming the first mine to open in the historic Witwatersrand Basin in the last 30 years. The Burnstone mine is projected to have a 25-year mine life and is fully financed with production anticipated to be over 250,000 ounces per year at a cash cost of only $450 per ounce. The Hollister mine in Nevada became fully integrated in the 4th quarter of 2010 with annual production estimates of 110,000 ounces of gold per year over the